Darius Garland has ascended to heights that many didn't expect him to after his rookie season. A rookie season where some called him the worst player in the NBA. Now, it's also very clear that he has improved a lot since then, and he's not only an all-star, but someone that I believe has all-NBA level, and even some MVP candidate kind of potential. He does almost everything a small guard needs to do in order to be a top-tier player in the NBA, and at just 22 years old, it's truly remarkable to see what he's been able to do this young into his NBA career, especially this past season, and like with all young players, the best is yet to come. One of the most encouraging things about Darius Garland has been the massive improvements he's made since entering the league from a year-to-year basis. His field goal percentage has seen noticeable improvement, his 2-point field goal percentage has seen noticeable improvement, his free throw attempts have seen noticeable improvement, his true shooting percentage has seen noticeable improvement, his points per game have seen noticeable improvement, and his assists per game have also seen noticeable improvement. I thought he should have won Most Improved Player last season, considering how he got a bigger role, saw an increase in his production, and saw an increase in his efficiency. On top of that, while not being the only factor, but still a major factor in the Cavs doubling their win total going from the 2021 season to the 2022 season. However, it's also about way more than just the numbers when it comes to Darius Garland. Darius Garland is one of the best playmakers in basketball, hands down. He has an incredible handle. He's extremely shifty and is able to create separation with his quickness. He's a really good offense creator as a scorer, good shooter, and also has good touch on his shots within the arc. He's a good on-ball scorer, but he's also very capable of scoring off the ball as well. He's a very creative player with the basketball in his hands, and that's not just as a scorer, because Darius Garland is one of the best passers in basketball as well. He does what all great passing playmakers do, which is leverage his scoring ability to create easier opportunities for his teammates. He passes well on both the half court and in transition. He's a good P&O playmaker. He does a good job at using pass manipulation moves like ball fakes behind the backs and no looks. He's one of the best lob passers in basketball, which is very valuable when you have big men like Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. And overall, he's just one of the smartest and most creative players in basketball. And it isn't just something that's for show, it translates to winning. On top of his skills as a basketball player, what he's capable of on offense as far as responsibility goes is insane as well. Darius made just about every decision for the Cavs offense when he was on the floor this past season. He was the Cavs offense. He was the engine for what they were able to do when it came to manufacturing points. He was in some way, shape, or form a responsible part in every score that the Cavs made when he was on the floor. I'm not even kidding. And the thing is, it worked. The Cavs won 44 games with Darius Garland being the engine to the offense that he was. And they would have won more games as well if they didn't get wrecked by injuries down the stretch of the season. For a 22-year-old small guard to be able to be an all-star level player that has that much of a positive impact on the basketball team with that kind of responsibility on offense where he's basically carrying the offense whenever he's on the floor isn't something that's common at all, to say the least. But Garland does what you need to do in order to be a high-level player like that as a small guard. And that's using a scoring ability combined with an elite passing ability to be one of the best playmakers in basketball. It's one thing to have the ability to do both, it's another thing to understand how to use that ability. And he does that to the fullest potential. So originally this was going to be a video about the big Cavs trade where they acquired Donovan Mitchell because that's the big news. It's the biggest news of the offseason so far, a relatively dry offseason as that. But the more I started watching the Cavs tape to see how Donovan Mitchell would fit with this team, Darius Garland has stood out to me so much on tape to the point where I started focusing on him and realized that, I'm just focusing on Darius Garland anyways. Why not just make a whole video about Darius Garland instead of a video about trade, because everyone's going to be making trade videos. So That's why you're getting a video about Darius Garland instead of the Cavs trade, like I said I would on my community tab, so sorry, but it is what it is. Now going into this season, I have an expectation that Garland will have his most efficient scoring season of his young career, and if you can't tell already, that's because of the recent addition of Donovan Mitchell. Now say what you want about Mitchell and Wade in the playoffs this past year, or how good or bad he is as a POA defender, but at the end of the day, he's still someone that puts up 25, 5, and 5, is an all-star shooting guard who's been proven that he can do it on winning teams, who's only going to be 26 this upcoming season. He's a player that will take some of the pressure off Garland's shoulders and allow Garland to play off ball more, although I still expect Garland to be the main offensive engine on the team that will have the basketball in his hands a lot, but Mitchell will alleviate some of that pressure off his shoulders, so Garland won't have to make basically every decision on offense like he did this past season. And I do expect Garland to be someone that could be a 60+ true shooting percentage guy and flirt with 50, 40, 90 this upcoming season. And the thing is, he wasn't even inefficient last season, so imagine what he's going to be able to do with some of that responsibility taken off of his shoulders. I also think the Cavs is going to be really good this upcoming season, which could lead to Garland being All-NBA, maybe even second team. First team seems like a bit of a stretch, but I could definitely see second team if the Cavs are going to be a 50+ win team, which I think is very likely. I mean, they won 44 games last season with the injuries they had to deal with to the key players. Now you add an all-star who's just entering his prime to the roster without having to give up any of the foundational pieces of their young core. Not only do I think the Cavs are going to be a good team now, I also think they're going to be a contender for years to come. They have 3 starters who made the all-star team last season, and one other starter who is arguably the highest ceiling young big man in the league. But regardless of the all-stars on the roster and the high ceiling of a guy like Evan Mobley, to me, Garland has and will continue not only to be the most important player on the Cavs offense, but also their best player. And maybe he can lead the Cavs to heights that they haven't seen since, well, you know. But that's the end of this video from me to this point. Thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm notified whenever I release a video. I'm making videos about basketball all the time, so if that's something that interests you, this is the channel for you. And liking and subscribing is the best way you can help support me. So I would really appreciate if you do that. If you want to check out other content that I make, you can check out like my video essay channel, which isn't related to basketball, but I feel like I show a bit more personality over there. Link that channel in the description below. Pin comment, long form video essay style videos about cartoons and anime. So if that interests you, you can click the link down there to check that out. I have 2 videos from that channel popping up here. YouTube will recommend a video from this channel on the other side. And you can click the icon to subscribe if you haven't already, or check out other videos that I've made on this channel. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.